I've just got to the allotment and I can hear a little bird chirping away. Oh God, you scared? I'm scared. He scared me. He came too quick. I've got one very hungry robin on my hands. Oh, two. Come on. That's the boy there. I keep trying to feed her, but the boy robin keeps coming and stealing them. Come on, take it. Come on. You can see her edging forward. She kind of wants to take it, but she's a bit nervous. Yes, yes. Did you see that? Oh, stoked. So that's the third time that she's fed from my hand, and we're getting a bit closer. The trick is to be really patient and not push them too much. So I make sure that she's really, really comfortable with where she is before I try to get her to come any closer to me. The girl robin just went and stole his worm. They're having a little bicker down there at the minute. Come on, I've got enough for both of you. And there's a little dunnock down there as well. Come on, I'll leave it here for you. See if she comes and takes it. There you go. Well, it's been a pretty grey start to the day here, but I think the sun is just trying to break through the clouds, so I'm hoping I get a bit of sunshine later on. I've got loads of jobs to be getting on with today, and I'm also going to show you around the plot to see what it's looking like at the end of February. It's been a pretty dry and sunny month, but the last week we've had quite a bit of rain and wind and grey skies, and today's no different. Even though I've pruned quite a lot of hedges and vines this past month, I've still got loads of pruning to be getting on with on the ground. Lots of perennial plants need clearing away, some old leaves, lots of beds just need a general little spruce up. So I'll take you around with me and show you the befores and afters of my pruning, and we'll see what else we can be getting on with. So I may as well start in my stumpery whilst I'm down here, and this is my little unmanaged wildlife habitat section that I just leave all of my logs, stumps, fallen branches and any kind of decaying matter that I don't put in my compost goes in this area, and it just creates a really lovely habitat for all sorts of wildlife, from insects to amphibians. I see the birds foraging down here. Lots of perennial plants, some thistles, some ferns. I have a gooseberry bush, so I've just got lots of old sticks and twigs to clear from down in this section, and I just want to be creating a bit more light for some of the new young shoots to be coming through. I'm going to get some gloves because there's some nettle stems down here that need chopping. This I will use for tinder. So down here I've got my echinops, and I grow quite a few echinops because I just think it's one of the best flowering plants for pollinators. The bees absolutely love it. So I just need to give some of the old dead leaves from last year a bit of a tidy so the new shoots have a little bit more light. And I don't like to do this tidying too early. I always leave my pruning and tidying up till about this time of year, just because I like to leave a nice little habitat for the insects over winter. So other than a few little twigs and old stems of perennial plants to clear up, I don't generally do too much maintenance to this area. I like to leave it pretty wild. So as we come away from the stumpery, these are my two fairly big beds that I've got just by the skate ramp. These are all starting to come to life now. Lots of daffodils and mystery sprouts coming up too. Can't remember what I planted there. I've got some little tulips. Yeah, this bed's going to look really pretty in a couple of weeks. And then we go along to my other really big bed where the perennials are getting much bigger. These are my foxgloves, my sea holly, mountain mulberries, more foxgloves, some daffs in here. So this is one of my lupins. And if you saw my January walkabout video, you will have seen what these look like come summertime. And they're just absolutely gorgeous, even the foliage before the flowers come through. It's just beautiful. The way the droplets of water sit on the leaves as well is so beautiful. I am in love with this honeysuckle. Look at it, and its trails all the way along my kitchen rooftop as well. And this was literally just a small, probably 8 centimetre cut-in about 3 years ago that I just popped in the floor down there. And you can see it's grown into a lovely big thick stem that houses this lovely, lovely huge honeysuckle. And this is beautiful when it's in bloom, and it smells absolutely incredible. So then down here we've got a little section that needs a sort. I've got a bathtub here that I think previous years I've grown carrots in it and onions in it, and then last year I think I grew flowers in it. This year again I think I'm probably going to grow flowers in it just because, yeah, it's next to my skate ramp and I like to keep this area really nice and pretty and floral. And then come down, these are old remnants of wood from my skate ramp that I resurfaced late last year, and I just kind of use this for firewood really. As we come along, the mahonia is starting to come into flower. Mahonia flowers smell absolutely beautiful, and they're edible too. You can use them to make a really refreshing kind of lemonade. Down here I've got another cast iron tub that did have some flowers in it last year, and it's got some rogue daffodils in there, lots and lots of creeping buttercup, some wood avens and some nettles that need removing. So as we come down, the little corner area of this huge long bed is starting to get some life to it. I got some big old oxeye daisy down here and some cute little daffs. Down here is some rogue three-cornered leek, which is an invasive species, but it is more than welcome in my garden because it's edible and it is delicious. So you can just make like a surplus of sauces or pestos, pop them in the freezer and have year-round three-cornered leek. So I've come through to my orchard and something has been digging on my plot. Look at all of these holes, look at that hole. What the hell? You can see something has been absolutely ferociously digging down here in my allotment. Look how deep these holes are. What the hell are they? I think it might be badgers, you know. They're quite deep. And they're everywhere. Look. I need to set up my wildlife camera. I just got sent a new wildlife camera that, yeah, I should definitely put in this section here because something is just kind of like scuttled along here, digging for stuff. But this is a good chance to show you how bloody amazing having wood chip is in your garden. Look at this mycelium. And it's not just there, it is everywhere. Look at this clump here. All of this soil is being held together by these mycelium strands. And it's so important to be encouraging mushrooms and mycelium into your garden, if for nothing else but your soil structure. So yeah, I don't know what's been digging down here, but it's been enjoying itself. Down here, the rhubarb is well on its way with its little chive companion plant down here. These two are loving life at the minute. So is that wind chime. This wind chime was from my mum's kitchen. She used to collect wind chimes, and the kitchen ceiling was just absolutely full of them. You always hit your head when you walked in. But anyway, I've got loads of wind chimes in my allotment now, so it's very noisy here. My goji berry shrub is all starting to come into leaf now. I'm really hoping that this is the year that it flowers and I can have a few little fresh homegrown goji berries, which would be such a treat. The cherry tree starting to bud. Such a magical sight when you start to see the tree buds come through in early spring, or at the end of winter rather. Makes you look forward to spring, which shouldn't be too long now. So as we spin through to the veggie growing side of my plot, you can see this bed's still got its ground cover on it. I just need to get rid of all of these kind of spent leaves and stuff now, and that can go in my tinder pile. All of these pots usually house things like sweet peas and bits to grow up these frames. At the moment they've got red dead nettle and grass in them. More Melton mulberries. I absolutely love these. They self-seed like mad and they're just so pretty. The bees absolutely go mad for them. So if you're looking for some really pretty pollinating flowers that are quite subtle and elegant, I think, have a look at Melton mulberries. They come in lots of different colours, mostly pastel colours, hot pinks as well. But yeah, really nice. So this is my herb spiral, and it's one of my favourite areas of the plot purely because of how easy it is to manage. Everything's kind of contained in this little spiral shape, so it just makes maintaining all of the plants really easy. I've got lots of dead plants that need cutting down, lots of perennials that need chopping back. I've got a big row of wallflowers behind me that need cutting right down, and yeah, just some stray weeds that need pulling out. So I'm going to be cracking on with that, and maybe also trimming down my rosemary. I can take a few cuttings of that home and give my lavender a bit of a trim as well. Maybe sort out the pond down there at the end. I think I might move this wallflower because they get quite big, and I don't really want this in my herb spiral blocking out quite a lot of the light. So I think I'm going to get rid of that. And then just generally cut back all of these plants and stems and leaves and just give a little bit more light to the plants that are trying to pop up underneath. I've got lots and lots of different types of perennial herbs in here. Some of them aren't fully hardy, so I need to have a proper look and see what's still alive, what will probably come back, what I can leave in hope, and yeah, just give it a bit of a tidy. I've got some feverfew down here, some coriander, lots and lots of different types of mint. I've got a burn jelly plant, rosemary, lavender, mugwort, chervil. Yeah, everything's in this little herb spiral. Got some fennel down here, that's just starting to pop back through now. Absolutely love fennel flowers. And what's this? That looks like it's a sorrel. Don't know where that's come from. So the strawberries are starting to come back. I do interplant all of these little holes with strawberries, and I think actually this year I'm going to swap them out for wild strawberries because they're a little bit hardier and they like to grow in all sorts of different conditions, whereas strawberries can be a little bit demanding sometimes. They need constant watering, whereas wild strawberries can kind of survive a little bit of a drought, to be honest. So I think I'm going to pop wild strawberries in all of these crevices and swap these cultivated ones out. So I've got some ground ivy down here. So all across the back here I've got a big wall of wallflowers, and it all desperately needs cutting back now so some new growth can come through. So this wallflower is so woody, I'm just going to cut it all right back down to just above ground level really, and then just see if it comes back. And if it doesn't, then I'll just plant something else here. But I've got high hopes for my little wallflowers. They haven't failed me yet. They're just looking a little bit straggly now. I really need to sharpen these tools. They are blunt as hell now. And all of these green little bits here I'll save for cuttings, because they take so well, wallflowers. If you just snip off the stems and pop them in your garden every year, you'll have wallflowers forever. I didn't even know I had this flower stand down here. That must have been used for my wallflowers a couple of years ago. Cut myself. Plants are lethal sometimes, you know, especially this time of year when everything's dead and sharp. I forgot I've got lots of lemon balm down here. These ones here are the stalks of the lemon balm plant, and lemon balm is absolutely beautiful. It smells so good just brushing past it. So I have lots and lots of lemon balm growing on my plot, and also the bees love it too when it flowers. It's just started to rain, but this is how far I got with clearing around the herb spiral. So lots of the wallflowers have gone now, and I've tidied up lots of the dead or spent plants from inside the spiral itself as well. And then here I just used the hoe to get rid of the ground cover, which was my red dead nettle. I've still got a few more weeds to get out and some compost to put on as mulch, but other than that I think this one's ready for planting. Can you hear little robin up there? Singing away. Yeah, it's starting to come down now. So these big beds look like they've had something digging in here as well. Can't wait to find out what it is when I set my camera up. I've got some rogue garlic popping up down here. I must have missed a bulb when I was harvesting last year, or actually 3 bulbs. But that might be a nice little surprise of early green garlic this year. Still need to remove all of the foxgloves and relocate those to my woodland area, but all of the garlic in this bed now is coming up. It doesn't look as healthy in this bed as it does in my other beds. The strawberry bed still hasn't been pulled up and weeded yet, but that is definitely a job for this month. I've just noticed some more digging down here as well. Gosh, I think it's probably going to be a badger, isn't it? But yeah, the strawberry bed really needs doing this this month. And then I've cleared a few beds along here. Still need to pop some weeds in the compost bin, but these are kind of almost ready to get going now. I need to put my bamboo screening up between mine and Fred's allotment. We did have a beautiful apple tree and a beautiful vining plant that went up the back of this fence as well, but he cut it down. So I need to get that sorted so I've got a bit more privacy again. But back here I've got some more wallflowers that need cutting back, and my rose as well. Yeah, I might have to give that a prune because it's going to be too late to do those roses soon. Gosh, it's grim now. It was lovely and sunny earlier. Thought I was going to be promised some sunshine. But anyway, this little spot down here looks different, and that's because I've relocated some of the beds from the plot over there, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with these yet. I might use these as raised beds. When I sort out where the bathtubs are going at the back, I might use these as raised beds for my carrots. But yeah, I'm still undecided. But down here, I've got my little tulip corner that's starting to pop up, and I'm not too convinced that they're going to put on a good show of blooms this year, just because tulips aren't really that reliable for repeated blooming. But yeah, I still need to harvest these Rudbeckia seeds and get these planted. It's probably time to do that now. I might actually just sprinkle, direct sow some. Just pop a little bit of compost down, pull off a seed head. Easy as that. So I'm just going to do that at a few more spots around the plot and hopefully have a lovely show of Rudbeckia in the summertime. But yeah, as we come round, this fire pit is definitely getting filled in now because I've built a new one. I'll show you that in a second. Some little crocus popping up all the way along here. If you saw my spring bulb planting video, you'll know that I planted up this huge planter with lots of various kind of spring bulbs, and they're all starting to come up now. I've got some daffodils and tulips that I've noticed. But yeah, this should be a lovely display in a little while. A rhododendron needs planting out somewhere. I still need to figure out a good spot for that, or I might just plant it up in a really big pot. I'm undecided yet with the rhododendron. And in my mum's border, I've got lots of lovely primrose coming through. Some nibbled pansies. I think I'm actually going to move this oxeye daisy because it gets massive and heavy and it's right on the corner, so it kind of all splays into the pathway and doesn't really look that attractive, so I think I am going to move that. Pretty purple crocus all coming through. Oh, my little fairy's got a broken wrist. That was from my mum's front garden. And her hellebores are starting to flower. More crocus down there. Some foxgloves coming through. More tulips. I think they are either purple ones or Queen of the Night, like a lovely black tulip. I thought it might complement the blue theme in here quite nicely. A little dog, because she had loads of dogs, 10 to be exact. At time of passing, we had to rehome them all. It was mental. Loads and loads of flowers all popping up here. Loads of tulips. Down here, I've got a little iris patch, and these are called Kent iris, and they're like massive ones. I bought them because we're from Kent. Collegias all coming through. I need to tidy up all that crap back there. I'll do that in a second. The salvia desperately needs cutting back as well before that starts to come into flower too much. I did want to move that, I'm not sure if it's too late yet. Another lovely lupin, this is a big blue one. Or a white one actually. Oh no, it's white foxgloves, blue lupins. Some little anemones as well. Yeah, it's all coming through quite nicely. Just needs a little bit of a tidy up. Nothing's changed in the greenhouse this month, so we won't go in there. I've got some lovely cabbages coming through in my little brassica tent. See if I can squeeze my camera through here. Yeah, I've got quite a few spring cabbages coming up and loads of bloody foxgloves that I need to relocate. Gosh, my eucalyptus is starting to put on some growth. I really need to cut this back. I don't know where to chop it to. I really want to coppice it so it grows like a multi-stemmed foliage bush type plant, but yeah, I'm not too sure on the pruning of these. I need to do a little bit of research. Or I might ask Katrina from Homegrown Garden because she's got a couple of eucalyptus on her plot. So down here we've got the pond area, and I've got loads of cowslip coming through. Some beautiful kind of fuchsia coloured primrose. Some more three-cornered leek. That needs a clear out down there. I can move away some of these kind of dead leaves and stuff now. But yeah, that needs a good old sieve down there because there's loads of kind of gunk in that pond that could do with coming out. God, can you see that all in there? It's all like formed in mat. I think I'm going to actually remove most of this because I think it's proper taking over the pond. Yeah, so this needs a proper little sieve, this pond. So then we come through to the second plot. God, I'm knackered. It's quite a while to walk around all of this. Second plot, I've still got all of this elder that I need to run through the chipper. Just haven't had time to go and get some more petrol for that yet. It needs special petrol, or, well, it doesn't need a special petrol, but I like to buy a clean petrol for it. Well, as clean as petrol can be. And my bulbs that I planted in the spring, my tulips haven't started popping up at all in this bed yet. That little aqualesia that has. The front of my plot still needs a good clear out, but I've managed to collect a lot of water over winter. I need to do something about this because I used a rubber glove to kind of stop the water coming through this hole, but it's all just kind of melted from the sun, and yeah, I've got a bit of weather damage now, so I need to fix this hole so it fills up that little bit more, because this is where it drains off, or it used to when it didn't have all this shit in it. This is where it drains off through this tube here into this bin. Then this one's got a slightly lower tube through this one. Just out of the greenhouse, don't know if you can see, but I've got a lovely border of spring bulbs that kind of line this pathway here. Lots of muscari, campanula and cow parsley. So much cow parsley. The sun's just starting to come out after a brief little shower. So this is my little woodland area. And the currants had a prune. The daffodils are starting to come up all down here. Little primrose. There looks like there's some stray bramble that I need to get out of here just to make harvesting the gooseberry and the currants a little bit easier come autumn time. I don't mind a bit of bramble, but I don't really like to get shredded by it. So an exciting new development in this little orchard area here is some brand new fruit trees. Oh, I lost the label, can't lose that. I will definitely forget what it is. It is Domestica Summer Red. So I planted out a few new trees. I've still got quite a few to go. And in here is some rhubarb that I'm forcing. I've never forced rhubarb before, so it's a first for me. But I hear it produces beautiful, beautiful, sweet pink stems. So yeah, I've got quite a few patches of rhubarb and I didn't mind to force one of them. So yeah, we'll see what those look like in a couple of months. It's another one of my trees here that I planted. This one is a Golden Delicious. And then round here are all of the trees that I still need to plant out. So plum, apple, fig, another apple, pear. What is this? Is that a kiwi? Is that a kiwi or a fig? My honeysuckle's all starting to bud. All the little leaves are coming through. Should probably build some sort of structure for this, but I'm undecided what it's going to be because that's my compost area and I don't want to block the entrance. Although I guess that's the path there, so it kind of doesn't if I build the structure that way. I need to think about that. But in here, anyway, the last time you saw this, it was just kind of an empty space, and now it's my little compost bay. Move this shit and show you. Right, it's just started to rain again, but here's my little 3-bay compost system. Still needs a little bit of ceiling around the front. I'm going to build like doors along the front. How it works is I fill up the first bay. Once that's full, I transfer it to the second bay, and then fill up the first bay again. Once that one's fill up for the second time, this one should be rotted down. I'll move that one to the third bay. That'll be ready for new compost, and then I'll move the first over to the second, start that one again. So that's the idea of this little compost bay. Really stoked to have a bit more space to make some compost in this plot. Yeah, around here again is my bathtub. I have actually cleared this bed, though it may not look like it because I've since covered it in lots of brambles and berberis cuttings, because fucking squirrels have been at my tulip bulbs as expected. There's a big hole down there, but yeah, I tried to put a bit of mesh on there, and as much kind of spiky stuff as I can, and I think it has stopped them since. But yeah, I'll see how many flowers pop up. Hello, I can hear you, you're loud. And then behind the compost bays and the bathtub is my new fire pit. If you saw my fire pit making video, then you'll know I've already got this, but otherwise it's a totally new addition to the plot. This used to be a few beds and just some kind of cuttings that I used to keep in a pile over here. But yeah, I've totally cleared this, cut back the currant which was there, cut back the berberis, and yeah, now proper extended this little chill spot at the back here. So these sticks here are the markings out of my new beds back here, and I'm going to be putting down cardboard and a shitload of compost and just creating some nice new beds here. Probably going to be a mixture of flowers and perennial plants as well for foliage. These potato beds haven't got anything in them yet, but I have got a new bed here that I moved from over there, and I just popped it at the end here just to make a longer little growing section. This little hut here, this little greenhouse, is literally the only spot on my plot that is safe from rats, squirrels and mice. For some reason they can't get in. I have put grate down at the bottom, but yeah, got some broad beans germinating. I've retreated into the greenhouse because it is proper raining now. I can see my little robin up in the tree waiting for me. He'll be waiting a long time because my mealworms are over there. So I'm just going to wait for this rain to stop and then show you the last little section of my plot. And I hope it does stop and we do get there, because I actually want to harvest some of my food from this bit tonight. So whilst we are in my greenhouse, I can show you some of the little things that are popping up. I've got my evening primrose, my chard, ranunculus is starting to come through. I've got all of my tulips, some aquilegia, columbine. Then I've got all of these tulips that I planted up in my January spring planting video. These are all starting to come through now. Right, we've got a little break in the rain, and just in case it does start again, I've put you through the hole in my greenhouse window. But yeah, just before I go home, I'm going to be harvesting some of this wild garlic to use for dinner. Don't know what we're going to have tonight, but it's definitely going to be garlic based. Wild garlic does take quite a few years to establish, but once it does get going, you'll have a carpet of it. It comes back every year, bigger and better. I like to use these slightly larger leaves for things like pestos, and then I use these little leaves like this, the little leaves like this for eating raw, putting in sandwiches and things like that. So I guess we've had a pretty typical February day. Sun, rain, cloud, more rain. But it's been quite nice to get out and have a little walk around, tidy a few bits up, and yeah, harvest some of this wild garlic for my dinner. If you'd like to learn a bit more about wild garlic and how to identify it, then you can check out my February foraging videos. I show you a few key features to look out for and some toxic lookalikes as well. think that should be enough. Gonna get home, make some dinner.